back to my channel. You guys doing a reaction to? I interviewed the detective working the David case. Let's see what they talking about.
He didn't just get rid of the body. The only thing I can think of is was a trophy of sorts for him.
Do you think the family is as quiet as they are because they knew who David was?
I mean, yes, I have proof that family members have been to that rental house before, have been with David and Celeste. There's evidence that he met her, interacting with her in like a creepy way when she was 12.
So do you think David had help?
I think he had help. I think there's gonna be other people that go down. I think there's gonna be financial transactions that come out of this. That if this goes to trial, they're gonna show that there were people that were getting money, and it's gonna look really, really bad.
Yeah, I definitely believe he had help. There's no way that he did what he did, allegedly, and he didn't have help. He definitely had help.
All right, what's good, YouTube? Today, I am joined here by Steve Fisher. He's a private investigator, and more importantly, he is also the one that has been working this David case day in, day out. I'm gonna let him introduce himself and his involvement with the case. But Mr. Fisher, I really do appreciate you coming on my show today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, call me Steve. I appreciate having me and what you do. Yeah, I'm a missing persons private investigator. I only do missing persons cases, and I'm also very involved in search and rescue. I got involved in the case with Celeste, the owner of the house that David was staying at, and Celeste had visited him and whatnot, got in contact with me, and because he didn't rent the house to David, he rented it to his management.
The house was rented out through his manager, but David was the primary person staying there?
Well, the owner of the house, or the owners, the husband and wife, had no idea who David was. The lease says it's for the exclusive use of Josh Marshall, his manager. So they had no idea that they didn't know, first of all, they didn't know who the singer David was, and they live out of state, and they didn't know that somebody else was living there. So this, all of a sudden, their house is involved in a search warrant, and all this, this tragic event happens to this teen losing her life, and they wanted to understand, what had happened, because LAPD wouldn't give them any answers, and so that's kind of how I got involved.
Celeste's family never got in touch with you to find her before. The only reason why you got involved was because the owners of the house had cops coming through their house, investigating stuff, and they just didn't know what was happening?
Yeah, no, I've never been in touch with her family. I've tried. I didn't want to push them hard, though, so I haven't really followed up more. But yes.
All right, wait. Before you leave, you need to go ahead and look into downloading Kalshi. Kalshi is a trading and betting app where you come on here and you can bet on trending elections, politics, sports, culture, crypto, committees, climate, economics, mentions, companies, financials, tech and science, music, and more. You can come on here and push climate and bet on the weather. Yes, literally the weather. And you can 93 times your money that you bet. All right, so say if you had $100, and you wanted to bet $100, you can come on here. You can buy in dollars or buy in contracts. I usually buy in contracts. If I was you, I would bet no more than $25 starting off. And if you sign up through my affiliate link, you will also get $25 to place your first bet. You get that, place a bet. I flipped $25 to $100 plenty of times on here. Now, I didn't bet on climate, but I did bet on sports. Sports is a real big thing, especially the women's basketball game. I would highly suggest you bet on that. They also have live bets on here where you can come on here and place a bet right now. As soon as you download the app, you can come to live bets and bet on any games, and just 10 times, 1 time, 2 times your bets. All right, so of course I get a $25 credit too when you sign up. But hey, you can do the same thing or share your referral link, but it's real money to be made on here. Other than that, go to my website, letshelpyougrownow.gumroad.com. You can come on here and get any courses, mainly music courses, but I also have courses for YouTube, TikTok. See, I have a TikTok. Let's help you monetize TikTok. If y'all want to get monetized on YouTube, TikTok, or anything like that, just social media in general, just get one of my courses. Also can help you set up a Shopify store. That way you can start selling your products, whether you're an artist or whatever. You can come on here and get my mixtape too, Diary with Scorpio King. I believed in me when they did in deluxe, out right now. Only $17. You can get a feature from me. I also got free stuff on my website as well. So yeah, you also can become an affiliate and get 50% of commission. So if somebody come on my website and buy something, you get 50% of that. So say if somebody buys something that's worth $100, you get $50. It's straight like that. Other than that, go stream my new mixtape, I Believed in Me When They Didn't. Deluxe, out right now. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm out.
So the owners were very, it's never had anything to do with value of the house or loss of value or anything. It's had to do with, they wanted to understand what happened there because they have kids around that age, and they wanted to know if, on like even a spiritual level, if they could go back in that house. It was really hard for them to fathom, if it happened there, or even in fact, even if it didn't happen there, just the fact that it's tied to it, they have some real decisions to make. And they're from out of the country, and so they don't really understand the laws and everything. So they said, listen, we want to find out what happened. They wanted to know what the truth was, and they want to make sure that Celeste, got justice if she needed to get justice. Because remember, at that time, too, they're telling us there might not be any crime here beyond concealment of a body, which was never true. I don't know why LAPD came out and said that, but they were making it sound like this might have been like an overdose or something, and they made a bad decision. There was nothing like that. It was never anything like that. This was a guy who's a predator. I don't know why it took this long to get where we're at. I'm glad there's finally Pierce justice is coming, and it doesn't seem like there was this real urge. It wasn't like maybe the
sense of urgency.
Yes, exactly.
The house that David was renting at, that the owners hired you, Celeste has.
Yeah, it took a long time for them to arrest him because they were supposed to been arrest him, but then again, some information did get leaked where they, by TMZ and whoever else saying that they're looking into his friends, et cetera, et cetera. They just wanted a strong case because they know he got money. So it's like a Diddy situation where Diddy didn't do half of the stuff that they accused him of. You know what I'm saying? But they knew that David was going to come with a good defense team. Like, he has money, obviously. So, that's the only thing I can really think of, for real, of why they took so long.
Into that house, correct?
She has, yeah.
Was that the house that they're presuming that all of this went down at?
It's the house that, when they say, she was lured to, I'll tell you this, we don't know exactly where it happened. But we're trying to figure that out, and we're also trying to find out where, the murder weapons, maybe, and not only the murder weapon, but also the dismemberment tools that were used.
After all this started coming out, was David still tied to that house?
No, so as far as we know, the way it happened was David was on tour when this news broke, even of the car being, LAPD initially being called to the tow yard because of a foul smell and flies circling the car. He was on tour, and so it came out that, hey, there's been a body found in a car that's registered to David. But they had no idea, the public had no idea that it was Celeste. People in his Discord had a good idea who it was, though. He continued on with the tour. It wasn't until they identified her as Celeste, was a documented missing person out of Lake Elsinore, which is like 80 miles away from LA, that they finally called the tour off. But he just kept plugging away. He never made a comment about it. The only comment they made was his press people said that they were cooperating with LAPD, which they never were, which we're going to find out they never were. That was a lie. They just wanted to keep going. And it did keep going. And then when they did call it off, he's never made a comment, and he was never seen in public again. He was in West Hollywood, very close to
Did he go back to the house that the manager had rented, or did he go somewhere else?
So what happened was, after she was identified, they served a search warrant. LAPD served a search warrant on the house the next day. I believe it was September 17th. His management contacted the owner and basically said they were breaking the lease. They were going to have the movers come the next day, which they did, and they came and they grabbed certain things, but they left a lot behind. And they basically then said, anything that's left behind, just do what you want with. We're out. He's never seen again. Now we find out that he was in another rental house just a few miles away.
Like, what a lot of people are kind of confused with, and I was hoping that you could kind of break down better for us, is the car was reported to be a couple blocks away from his house. That house, it was at the house that the owners that you work with had? Yeah. Okay, so
whenever I say the house, I'm talking about my client's house, which is, some people call the mansion or whatever. It's the only house that we were aware of at the time that he was living in. Now, there is a house before the lease started, which he did that famous live stream from, the delete everything, but it's less than that one. That was actually filmed
in
that
house. So was that Celeste? So a lot of people say that was the other Celeste in that. So that live stream, that was Celeste in that live stream.
The one where she talks about R-ing kids, and he says, delete everything. That's Celeste.
Do you know when that stream had happened?
Gosh, if I remember right, that was like January of 24. That was right before she ran away the first time.
Okay.
Might have the date off by a little bit. And then right after that is when she starts running away. And she has these series of runaway events. But it was no secret that she was with him. In fact, somebody close to the situation, her family, the school where she was going, wrote his management by email and said, paraphrasing it, there's a rumor that David might be involved in the disappearance of 13-year-old, Celeste Hernandez. If that's true, please make sure she gets home quickly. And she got home. She arrived the next day. And that email was received by his management company, and they did send it to him. I have proof of that. He was aware of it. So then she arrives back home, but then she runs away again. He was grooming her. He's a predator. This is not the only girl he was involved with. Those underage. When Celeste ran away on Valentine's Day, she showed up in the area. Oh, this is the exact same day that they're actually taking possession of the new house that they rented, my client's house.
Yes, sir.
Of course, my client doesn't. My client thinks it's Josh Marshall, his manager. But they take possession of it. So on that day, he's got Celeste runs away that day, and she's at the old house, the one where they did that live stream, delete everything, and he's got another minor at the new house, a mile and a half away, and I've got pictures of that. So that can be. This
is kind of all new about there being like a new minor. If you can reveal, how old was this other minor that David was dealing with?
She was 16 and 17.
She was 16.
This was going on for a while. I believe it goes back to when she was 16, 17 for sure. But he knew, she was underage, and listen, it's kind of the same MO. It's kind of the preying on those that he can manipulate out of their environment. And there's others, and there's another one too. So I mean. And I guarantee that there's I can't guarantee, but
no, any predator, they're always gonna have multiple victims. Yes,
there's ones that I don't know about.
Yeah.
When I was in court yesterday, when I happened to be looking right at David. He was seated kind of in front of me, and they brought him in an orange jumpsuit, and they sat him down at the table with his lawyers, and they handcuffed him to the table. I didn't know what was coming out of the prosecutor. I happened to be looking at him because I was like, man, he looks so different. He does not look like, David, the artist. He looks, he just doesn't look the same. And so I was looking at him, and then they were talking about when discovery, which is all the evidence and stuff, is going to be delivered to his lawyers, and
Yes, sir.
and the prosecutor comes out, and I don't want to get you dinged off.
No. It's literally say like you can
say that. Okay, so she comes out and says, Your Honor, one of the biggest issues is that there on his phone there was a voluminous amount of child porn. Proper word now is CSAM, right? But she went child porn, and then she goes, and because of this.
Yeah, this nigga got child porn too. Yeah, bro, that's why I say he guilty, bro. He even got child porn, bro. There's no way that you can say that David is not guilty, because it's like none of this is by coincidence, bro. It all adds up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all adds up.
Child porn. I mean, she said child porn 4 times in a row. It was very intentional. You had to let him know. We know. He just stared straight ahead. He wasn't like, he didn't turn to his lawyer and like, what the hell? He knew, like, I think he knows that they got him dead to rights right now. So, but she made it sound like there's a lot on there. So I don't think it's just Celeste. I don't think it's just Celeste and this other minor that I'm talking about. I think that there's going to be a lot that he actually was in communication with, and I think there's going to be probably a lot of that material that he sought out on the internet.
Back to the timeline. So I didn't know this. So it was January 2025 when that live stream happened, or 2024?
She'd been gone well over a year when this was going down. I believe that live stream was 2024, January 2024. Then she starts. Then in February, is when then there's Runaways, and then getting into around Valentine's Day, she runs away again, and then it's a year. It's well over a year that she's gone before we now know that this happened, according to prosecutors, in April of 2025. So she's gone a very long time. And that's been the whole thing, is piecing this together. Where exactly was she? Because we didn't really have evidence that, we had evidence that she had been to the house, but not that she was like living at the house. And David would travel a lot for concerts or whatever, and nobody would stay there. So we're like, where was she in all this time? And then we find out that she wasn't truly a runaway. That's the part that's upsetting to me too, is that her family knew where she was. And she'd shown up for like her cousin's high school graduation. She showed up at a family event. There's a video out there of her arguing with the next door neighbors in the apartment complex next to her house, all while she's supposedly a missing person. And so it's all very frustrating. There's a lot of things, a lot of failures around her, and I understand she's probably a handful. I get that, but the thing is, she's a kid. That's part of being a parent. She needed a direction. She needed like a direction in life, and it's not okay. They knew who he was, and it's just, I don't care how rich he is. I don't care how famous he's becoming. I don't care he's living in a mansion and he can afford to support her. It's not okay. She's 13, 14 years old at this time. It's never okay.
What I found interesting about this case is you would think a lot of people close to him would be coming out saying things like, hey, this was weird and stuff like that. But you really haven't been seeing that. The prosecutors are saying that they've gotten people to cooperate. They said they have some people that are more difficult. Do you personally think, or do you know, like, actually, that people knew her age and just didn't say anything about it?
100%. Listen, in that Discord of his, there's people that openly talk about it. They're like, hey, are you still going out with the underage girl? Are you still, they're talking about Epstein Island? Are you and Celeste going to Epstein Island? Like, it's crazy how open, it was not a secret, and the people close to him in his orbit, listen, they knew. I mean, there's live streams where, not just the one with Celeste, but there's ones where he's talking to these 2 super young girls on like, I don't know what platform it was, but he's talking to them, and his friend Asia Collins is behind him, and he's laughing about the age of these girls, and he's gooning, and it's just, it's really frustrating.
Yeah, they definitely knew, bro. Like, it's pretty much like, okay, so how sometimes a older person will be older, but they look good for their age. So some people might be like, hey, you look good for your age. I thought you was such and such. Like, I thought you was 30 the whole time they 50. You feel me? But in reality, by the face, how mature someone's face is, it's a difference between how mature someone looks versus how they look, as in cuteness or however they look, their appearance. You feel me? Damn well that was a younger girl. Feel like a kid. And how they be like, sometimes they be like, kids might be developed like an adult. Even if the kid is developed like an adult, you could tell by their face they're not an adult. So, pause. I'm just pointing out the facts here. So they knew. The moral of the story is, the people around David knew. He just said they was making jokes and shit.
frustrating because they have not they didn't race forward with information. They waited to the last minute to save themselves. Like all of a sudden, we find out when his friend Neo has to be arrested to be brought in front of the grand jury. That's not how it should be. You shouldn't be. I don't care how close you were with this guy. If you got information, we're talking about a child. I mean, there's evidence that he met her, was interacting with her in like a creepy way when she was 12.
You posted something I think that is great on your feed where you showed a timeline that you believe what happened because the prosecutor said.
I mean, you should say something about it in everyday life, even just with the general person who's doing something as disgusting as that, messing with a minor. But you definitely should say something now that you heard that minor, got unalive. You feel me? Like, the fuck?
Correct me if I'm mistaken. They believe that the murder happened April 23rd, 2025, right?
Yep.
Can you explain to us why you think they think that was the day she was murdered? And can you explain the timeline of from that day until September 8th when her body was found? Do you think that he left her in the Tesla the whole time? Do you think her body was stored somewhere else and he just kept on moving the car? Why do you think he didn't try to dispose of the body? If you can, could you give us that whole timeline and everything? Because I think that was like the best thing anyone's ever put out, where it's like something we could visually see.
Yeah, in a lot of this, I'm just never going to understand, right? Even like what was going on in his mind. But so there's 2 dates that they put out there. April 23rd, they believe is the day she was lured to the house, and then some point shortly after killed with a sharp object, they're saying. And then May 8th is the 5th. They have to look at the timeline to be honest with you. Is when they're saying she was dismembered. You got this gap in time where did he store her? Because you're going on a week and a half, and that's really the point of building that timeline. The timeline only focuses on this time period between the April 23rd and May when he dismembers her. And what we're trying to do is just find out what his movement was, for one, in that time period, and also kind of what his mental state, at least public facing, was. And we've started to compile it. Then we learned, well, April 23rd is when they announced Wither Tour is happening. He just gotten done with Coachella a couple days earlier. He's at Coachella, and then they announced the Wither Tour is.
Yeah, I will say though, David is a serial killer. If he's guilty, even though I know he's guilty, but I'm just gonna say if. But if he's guilty, he's a psychopath and a serial killer. This is really what you call a serial killer. You know what I'm saying? Certain stuff they want to call gangster and all that. No, nigga, this is some serial killer type of stuff. You feel me?
Or the Withered album is dropping, and so on the 24th they have a. So we're talking just hours after he would have killed her. They have a album release party here in LA. On the 25th, he heads out to New York for a 3-day band lab pop-up in New York City, and then from that he goes to Houston, to his hometown in Houston.
Wait, he's from Houston?
He's from Houston, yeah.
Wow, I'm from Houston. I'm here, right? I didn't even know that.
So then he goes to Houston for a couple of days. And so he's moving on. Like, I'm talking, he has if prosecutors are correct about the 23rd being the day, and I believe they are because there's somebody that obviously gave them the information, then within hours, he's fine. He's in a mindset where he's like, I'm ready to go to the party, I'm ready to go to New York. It's not affecting him. Now, we do see, it's kind of like this, almost like an adrenaline rush. There's all these posts, and he's playing these shows and these pop-ups, but then there's like this crash. He goes a lot more silent, after the dismemberment. He goes to Seoul, Korea for pop up, and he's in Malaysia. It's really wild to see that. So yeah, so to get back to your point, so there's the murder and the dismemberment, and that. So our big questions are, where did he murder her? Where did he then store her for those 10 days or so until he dismembered her, 10 days or more? And then why did she end up in the Tesla? And why did she stay in the Tesla in his neighborhood? When I started interviewing, before we knew all these data points, I was interviewing obviously neighbors asking for video surveillance and whatnot. And the people right across the street, directly across the street, and this is a neighborhood with very large houses and big yards and security systems and everything like that. And I was over at the house right across the street, which is owned by a producer, and I was dealing with his estate manager. And she said, one of the dogs, so the property, it's a big property, and their fence line butts up to the road. David would often park.
And if you think about it, somebody got to know something, because how is he doing all of this and then go straight on tour? Because is going to come where he had an album release party or something. How is he doing this and literally nobody sees him do anything? Whether it's a camera, but I'm really talking about a human being. A human being had to see him do something. Carrying a bag, something. Not saying they literally saw him kill Celeste or, any blood or anything, but you saw him do something that was a lot and iffy. You feel me?
mostly time parked the Tesla on their property line, off the side of the road. So it butted up to their yard. And she said, we started getting this horrible smell, and we had one of the dogs had died, and they had buried the dog in the backyard, and it was like a husky, it was a larger dog. And she's like, anytime we get over to be like 75, 76, 77 degrees, the backyard would smell horrible. She's like, so we thought we didn't bury the dog deep enough. So they were getting ready to unearth this dog and bury it deeper. And then all this happened, and the Tesla went away, and then everything was fine. But
so when the Tesla got moved, did that smell go away, and was the dog still buried?
Yes, and they're not thinking like, oh, the Tesla just went away and now it doesn't smell. They don't know, they're like, why it comes and goes. It's not until after they find out.
I actually had to bury one of my puppies one time, one of my dogs, and I'm telling you, bro, that shit stinks, nigga. If that shit is not buried deep enough, that shit stinks. So I can see why they thought it was the dog, because honestly, the shit smells so fucking bad, bro. It's so fucking bad. So fucking bad. And it's gonna stink up that whole fucking street, nigga. Like, if you live close by houses, they're gonna smell it, bro. Straight up. But so I can see how they thought that.
Now there's a body in the trunk of the Tesla. It's like, oh my God, the Tesla was, they have it on surveillance, the Tesla coming and going. So at times, so if they smell it, then he really can smell it, especially at the house, because it's like a multi-story house. And there's live streams that he does where a makeup artist is like, oh, what's this smell, And they just kind of like,
when was these live streams like dated around?
He live streamed from the house a lot, and so it was just like him and his friends, and they're filming something or whatever. There's a makeup artist.
This is the same house
Same house.
So there was streams where the makeup artist would complain about a smell from the house.
Yeah, and so what it is, most likely, is it's coming from the Tesla and just going up through the windows up at the third floor. And they're up in the master bedroom's bathroom when this happens. And he blames it, I went to the bathroom, but the whole thing is so wild. Like, if you dismember somebody, I know you never have, I'm just saying, but if somebody dismembers somebody, you think they'd go ahead and just get rid of them, right? Like, if they didn't do it at the house, if they did it somewhere.
And I've been seeing stuff online where, and it's not even funny though, but seeing stuff online where you got these rage baiters or these just retarded people, R-word people, where they'll be like, well, who, dismember a body and put the body in their car and leave it in front of their house or down the street from their house? Who does that? So on that accord, David has to be innocent, because why would he put it in his car and put it in by his house nearby in his neighborhood? Why would he do that? That's psycho. Usually the normal thing, people will dump them in a river, something like that, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what they'll use to say, like, if they feel like he's innocent, that's something they'll use. They'll use that number one thing. That's the number one thing I've been hearing. And honestly, it is wild. It sounds crazy, because, like, you will question, okay, if he really did kill her, why the hell did he put her in the neighborhood? That doesn't make any sense. But it doesn't make any sense. I guess what I'm thinking is he was so much in a rush. Him and whoever, that they so much in a rush, they think they got it all planned out. The only thing he probably planned for real was him unaliving her. That's it. He didn't think too far. It's a good thing that he didn't, but because that right there would have stopped a little bit of more stuff, from coming out, or probably even arresting him. So, yeah, but that is cuckoo though. Like, why would you do that? But he did that.
I think they did do it somewhere else. I think he had to have refrigerated her somewhere.
You said they. So do you think David had help?
I think he had help. I don't think he can do it by himself. I'm not saying in the murder itself, but I do think in the dismemberment, or at least the moving around, I think he had help. So, and I think people are going to fall for that. I think there's going to be other people that go down. I don't know why he didn't just get rid of the body. And that'll always be, I don't think he'll ever say why he did it. I don't think it'll ever come to that. But I think that the only thing I can think of was a trophy of sorts for him. And because listen, it's not that hard to go, you can drive 5 miles from the house and you'd be on Pacific Coast Highway and just let that Tesla go off into the ocean, off a cliff, or have somebody steal it and get rid of it, whatever. They have gone forever. He kept it in the neighborhood. He was moving it around when he dismembered her. People had reported to us that they noticed that it started being parked in different locations starting in May. He's keeping it close by, and then he goes on tour and just leaves it there. I don't know what he was thinking. Like, there's got to be some sort of trophy thing, because there's plenty of opportunities to get rid of that car.
With it being a Tesla, like, what I'm thinking they can do is they could probably. I don't know if you know this information, but was the Tesla dead when it got towed to the tow yard?
Yes, I don't know for certain. I think it was though, and it appeared that Sentry mode was probably turned off because it doesn't appear that they got any meaningful data from the car itself as far as the cameras or anything like that. Because otherwise, it would have been an immediate arrest. I do think because of the length of time, the car was most likely probably bricked, but I can't say for sure. I don't think that there was a key with it. I think they had a force entry, and I don't know. I actually it was going up for auction. He had never picked it up. LAPD processed it. They only kept it 2 days. They put it back in the impound yard, and I was watching it, and it was racking up daily fees, and then it gotten to be like 3 months, and they finally put it up for auction, and it was supposed to go to auction like 8:30 in the morning, and a month or two, about 6 weeks ago or something, and I was going to go inspect it because they had open inspection, and then at like 10 o'clock at night it switched where somebody had come and with a power of attorney signed by him and a cashier's check and paid to get it out, and then they went to DMV immediately and put it into somebody else's name.
So wait, somebody from his team bought the car?
I don't know I don't know if it's his team. It's obviously somebody he knows in some way, or his lawyers do, or his management does, because he gave him a signed power of attorney in order to get it out of the impound yard, paid for it, and then they took it. And then I ran across it about 2 weeks ago. I ran across it outside of a Tesla body shop in South LA, and it's sitting out there. It's been washed, but it's I don't know what's going on. That whole thing's so weird and creepy. I don't get it.
I think that's what a lot of the people are like, because I was talking to a dude yesterday where he thinks David was framed, and his whole thing was, how could David be that stupid to leave the body in the car when the car is to his name and everything? But it's like the dude, something Wayne, the clown killer, when he would kill people, he would put them right underneath his house, and or Jeffrey Dahmer, he would put people right in his fridge, and so it's just like when people kill people, you can't bash them.
Oh, that is a fact. I forgot about that. That's why I say he's a serial killer. Because you just got the examples. They never put the body far away. That nigga is a serial killer, bro. He on a different type of time. He on a, killing is not good in general, but it's one thing when you kill someone, but it's another thing when you leave their body where you at, nigga, or nearby you and shit like that. Like, you on some crazy shit. You basically next to the school shooters. That ain't, what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Because I hit him with that same logic. What rational man who's a multimillionaire can have almost any girl he wants of age would go after a little girl? And he couldn't.
Exactly. It's like, it's just not enough.
Psycho. Because that's a fact too. Like, nigga, what? You can get any woman you want, nigga, and you choose a minor. Now, here's the thing. I'm not trying to push the mental. He is fucking mental, though. But I don't want to push that too much, because say he is guilty, they can use this nigga as psycho. He is psycho, though. That's not the point, though. Then they're going to put him in a mental hospital. No, he needs to go to regular prison, and he does not need to be protected if they don't give him the death penalty.
Enough for them, I guess, in their sick, twisted, mindset. And listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. As an investigator, I'm very much an Occam's razor type of guy. I'm like, the simplest explanation usually is the way these things go. But I'll tell you, it's hard to get around the fact that his lyrics and everything, I can understand a couple songs, like, okay, like, these are things you sing about, whatever. It seems very, very like this was his world. This, like, his lyrics talking about, like, I have text messages he sent to the girls of dismembered, anime stuff, but it's dismemberment. He was into dismemberment. It's just,
so he was sending really, the other minors he was talking to. He was sending dismembered anime to them.
I'm not in the anime world, so if I say the terms wrong, whatever, free me. But it was these anime characters with their arms pulled off, and you could see, like, they would show the, like, dismembered arm, like, detached. It's just crazy sick stuff. And this is before this all happened, obviously. But now looking back, you're going, wow, this is to consume this guy. This was like this was his thing. This was his kink or whatever. This guy had everything. Like, if he went to, like, I don't, like, he was a young guy. Listen, he's talented. You can't say he's not a talented singer, right? And the world, and he just overwhelmed him somehow. Like, this became more important. I don't understand, like, what it was he was trying to.
Not to bring any, religion or anything into it, but here's the thing. He did say the devil was a talented musician. You feel me? That goes to show you. So he's basically the fallen angel.
To get out of life or whatever. Like, this is what the kind of people like never get a shot like this, right? Like, people that have that kind of talent, so many of them are just you never even know they're out there because they never get the shot. And this guy gets the shot, and what does he do? He takes the life of a little girl who didn't get to take her shot yet. You know what I mean? And never will get to. And who knows what she could have been? Who cares?
Yeah, that's a fact. But the crazy thing about it is, they said they got text messages with him and Celeste. That's why they, one of his charges is, murdering a witness, something like that, dealing with a witness because she threatened him with the cops. Now, here's the thing about that. The narrative is he unalived her because he didn't want her going to the cops. and because of his career, and it's gonna stop his money. I'm gonna tell you this now. He still would have had a career if she did go to the cops. Um, People definitely would have called you a pedophile, but at least you wouldn't have had to worry about spending life in prison or the death penalty. At least you don't have to worry about having to take somebody's life, which is a minor, that you pretty much manipulated. It would have been basically, it would have been a better result than anything. You feel me? Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it wouldn't be this thing.
She was anything. She became anything, but she's a human being, and he treated her like he owned her, like she was his. And then when he wasn't happy with whatever, or he felt that she was going to harm his career, he didn't just kill her, but he cut her apart.
Can you explain to us why they charged him with killing a witness? So are they saying that she was a witness because she was wanting to come forward, or was there already an ongoing investigation before that she was a part of, and with her being killed, they could charge him with that?
So
Yeah,
it's kind of both. She can be her own a witness to the crime against her, and now she's not here to be able to do that, to be given that opportunity. So it's killing a witness. However, several months ago, when they did that live stream with Celeste, that delete everything, we knew that it was at this other house, which is also on the same street. It's called Doheny, but it's in a different part of Doheny. It's by coincidence on the same street. So that house where that happened, I actually that's under the jurisdiction of the West Hollywood Sheriff's Department. And so I went to West Hollywood Sheriff and I said, hey, can I get any investigative files that have to do with a runaway or harboring or any type of event at that house for the time periods of 2023 to 2025? And they came back and said, we do have investigative files that involves a minor, but they're under seal because of an ongoing investigation, and you need to contact the Riverside County Sheriff's Department for more details because they're the investigative lead on it. Now, that's the agency out in Lake Elsinore. So that's the agency, and we had heard that they had actually picked her up once out there at that house. So I do think, and I'm positive that they interviewed David. They talked to David, and they didn't do anything about it, but they talked to him. But I do think that there was some sort of investigation going on.
And this is before she was murdered.
This is before she was murdered. And so that was ongoing, and then all of a sudden this happens. Now, it doesn't mean that there was this, like, they were going, like, listen, she ran away again. She was in his company a lot of the time, so they weren't investigating it thoroughly. But the fact is there was an open investigation. So she was a witness to that, and I'm sure they'd gotten a statement from her, like, hey, what were you doing there? Why were you with, how'd you meet him, whatever. So she's a witness, so he killed a witness, and it doesn't mean that there was charges filed yet, but she was a witness in an investigation. So, and not only that, but she can also be a witness. She's now no longer able to be a witness into the investigation into what's happening now because he killed her.
So with that continuous sexual abuse is charge that he got, is that only for Celeste, or would they also be doing that for the minors that you're in contact with that he was talking to?
We don't know. I can say that I'm pretty confident it does not involve the minor that I'm in talks with, just because I know what her communication with law enforcement has been and the DA's office has been very, very minimal. If they were going to charge him with her, I think there would be more communication, like, okay, are you sure you're willing to testify, or should we just by written statement or whatever it may be? And so I think I can't answer your question. I have a feeling it's just going to be for Celeste for now, but I don't know. Like, listen, there's two things that I think are important. It's all important what came out at the hearing the other day, but two things to really keep an eye on is, one, the wiretap. Because although states can do wiretaps, it's usually a federal thing because it's people talking across state lines, and that includes images being sent and whatnot. And then also the CCM material, usually the feds get involved. So I would not be surprised to all of a sudden see a federal charges come down on him too in short term.
So what would the federal charge be that they could get him on?
Possession of child, because they didn't charge him with, like, possession of child pornography and distribution and stuff like that. And those would be just a stack on top.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't once again, the longest sentence obviously will be the death penalty eligible case of murder, but it needs to be done because we need to make it known that this just can't happen. I mean, it's crazy that this is still, these guys are still going after these kids. These are kids. Let them live their life. Let them go and play with other 13-year-olds and do stupid kid shit that makes you what you are. Like, you know what I mean? They should not be making adult decisions of, like, am I going to be going over and having sex with him tonight? Am I going to be going to a party, to a record release party? No, go play on the swings and shit. Like, let them do. We just can't, like, we need to clobber these guys, and it happens to the boys too. I mean, these predators, we need to eliminate them. That's what we need to do, and and I just saw something go by too. I can't really read this, but something about the parents. Listen, I agree. The parents need to be held accountable.
I was just about to ask that, because one thing about the parents is, usually they don't always have to say something, you know what I mean? The family has to grieve, but I feel like this is one of those cases where the only, like, statement I know that's out there is that the mother just said that she had a boyfriend named David. That's, like, the only statement from the family that I've ever heard that is verified from them. So my question was going to be, like, do you think the family is as quiet as they are because they knew who David was and they knew who she was going to, and you don't really see too much of an intervention between them?
I mean, yes, I have proof that family members have been to that rental house before. I've been with David and Celeste.
Wait, her family has been to his house?
family members. Like listen, one of the first things I put down in this case was a build. We know that David and Celeste were at Six Flags on a certain date, and we found a Build-A-Bear certificate from the Build-A-Bear place in Six Flags in her cousin's name at the house. And so it's like, wait a minute. So she wasn't really missing. You know what? You want to know, in my opinion, what the missing persons report was about? It was to cover their ass so CPS didn't come in and say, "Hey, she's not going to school. What's up? If she's a missing person, you say she's not going to school because she's a missing person. Then you don't have CPS in your life at that moment. And I said that I guarantee. I know that they are. I know that they're grieving. I know they lost a daughter. But goddamn, like she shouldn't have been allowed to be. She was gone a year and a half, man. A year and a half. Like somebody should have said, maybe we shouldn't be letting Celeste live her own life like this. I don't care how much money he has, how famous he is. Maybe in some cultures they don't think that's that huge of an age gap. I don't care. These are the laws that you've agreed to live under. And she's 14. She was not 15 like it says on her death certificate. She turned 15 the day before she was found in the Tesla. She'd been in that Tesla a long time. She was 13 and 14 years old when this was happening, and she should have been in school. She should have been, playing video games with her friends and being listen, she'd only been a teenager for less than a year. I mean, think about that. I mean, it was her first year when this started happening, her first year being a teenager. This isn't a girl that was, about to turn 18.
So could you see,
there needs to be accountability.
Well, I'm with the charge. Could you see potential charges being pressed on the parents?
I think it's too high profile of a case, right? So they're going to say, oh shit, if we do that, we're going to have a certain amount of the people that are going to be like, I don't care if what they did is wrong. You got to give them some space because they're a grieving family, and they are. But they've also got to be like, hey, we messed up. We messed up. And listen, there is, I think there's going to be financial transactions that come out in this that if this goes to trial, they're going to show that there were people that were getting money, and it's going to look really, really bad.
So, oh my gosh, man, I did not, because I was under the impression that they might have known that she was with him, but there wasn't anything. But you have verifiable evidence to show that. And when you say family members, you don't have to disclose who, but are these adult family members that would have a say in her life?
Yeah. Now, the one, and her name's already been put out there, is Esmeralda, is a cousin who was a senior.
Yeah, her family. That's her family fault too. It is what it is, bro. You gotta blame the parents too, because why is you letting your 15-year-old mess with someone that's older than her? Not only mess with them, but let her stay away. And you knew where she was the whole time. You know why they did? Because they know that David had money. And David was paying them. That's what I'm coming up with. David had to be paying them. It's pretty much like an R. Kelly situation, but a worse. Even though R. Kelly did some things, no, this David situation is super 1,000% worse.
In high school, but I'm not so much blaming her. But the thing is that Esmeralda's parents, who would be her aunt and stuff like that, knew. Listen, I have other proof I can't disclose, but yes, there was adults. There was several people in her family that knew. Listen, her mom admitted she knew she was dating a guy named David, and she said, "Oh, I didn't like." She knew who it was. I mean, he would come out there and pick her up, in the Tesla, and they knew she'd been found there, before. Police knew that she was with him at some point before that, because listen, the person that sent the email to his management saying, word is that she's with David. If that's true, please make sure she comes home. She's 13 years old. They only knew to send that to his manager because it was no secret in Lake Elsinore, where she lived, that she was with David, the singer.
That email, is that an email that you can't release out there just yet?
No, I have released it. It's out there.
Could you send me that email so I can show my audience? Because I have not heard anybody report on an email being sent. So just for you guys that don't understand, what Mr. Fisher's saying is that Steve. So was it the school, or was it who was it that sent the email to the manager?
So I can't disclose who sent it. I've disclosed the email with the person's name redacted from it, and I'm looking for it here. I don't know if I have it on this case file or not, but what it says is an email sent to David at mogul.vision. Mogul Vision is his management. His manager's name, Josh Marshall, has a company called Mogul Vision, and so. It was sent to David at mogul.vision, which is the email address. And it just said, something paraphrasing, rumor is that Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who's 13 years old, maybe with the singer David, if this is true, please make sure she gets home safely. Her family misses her. Something that's very close to what it said. And she showed her up the next morning. So they got it. And I know David got it. I know for a fact. Again, I can't say why without disclosing, because then he would kind of be able to figure it out and the person's worried about it. But it was sent to David from his management company. And they're like, hey, yo, so you know. And he then forwarded it to some people. But that was sent by a concerned person in the Lake Elsinore community that knew, it's one of those communities where people know each other, and especially around her school. It was not a teacher, but I will say it's somebody connected to the school. And
okay, I think, is this the email right here? I'm gonna share my screen. So you posted this on your Twitter, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna share.
Yes, that's it. And they included a picture, the missing persons flyer in it as well.
So this is the email that was sent to
That's
David's
February
manager.
19th of 2024. I mean, this is how long
She was
this
13 at this time.
Yes, and the thing is that like people knew she was with David. This is back in 2024. This is a year before. More.
All right, the email says there have been talk that the artist David possibly has something to do with the disappearance of 13-year-old Celeste Rivers. If that statement holds any merit, please do the right thing and take her home. Her parents are very worried. That's crazy.
More than a year before we would even have, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't until September of 2025 that she's found. So all the way back in February of 2024, they're like, Lake Elsinore people know she's with David.
So my question now is, because in this email it says there's been talk that the artist David possibly has something to do with the disappearance of 13-year-old Celeste Rivas. If that statement holds any merit, please do the right thing and take her home. Her parents are very worried. Now my question is this person is not a family member related to Celeste, right?
No, she's not.
So if this random person, it may have been close or whatever, but whoever this person was, they knew to send this email to this manager. Why didn't Celeste's parents reach out as well?
It's a good question. That's something we'd like answers to. You know, it's hard to, at the beginning we asked the same questions to ourselves, like, okay, why wouldn't the parents do them? And we think, okay, well maybe this is when ICE raids are really ramping up, right? And we're like, okay, maybe there's like documentation issue, but that's not the case. And we find out, well, okay, so that's not the case. So what is it then? You know, and then things start coming out about there's photos of meetings in Lake Elsinore with David with a paper bag apparently full of money.
Have you ever posted the photo of that on Twitter?
I think I have. If not, if you just search David, bag of money in Lake Elsinore or something like that, it'll come up. It's a pretty well known picture now. He's in a parking lot.
Yeah. So do you know when that picture was dated?
I don't remember the exact date. But this is during the time when she's when she's missing. So that's it right there. Yep.
So do you know who these people are right here?
I do. I can't say who is. They're minors too. I do.
Is it any relation to Celeste?
They're not related. I'll tell you, there are people now that are definitely fighting for Celeste though.
The people fighting for Celeste. Oh.
Yeah.
So and this is him in.
This is Lake Elsinore where she lived and went to school. This is like 3 blocks from her house. Keep in mind, Lake Elsinore is about 75 or 80 miles from the house where David lives, so it's not like just around the corner. So he's out there for a reason.
I was gonna say, oh man, like the main focus needs to be on, because Celeste isn't here anymore, so she needs justice for her family. But I know you don't want to say it, but I don't care. I'll take the bullet. I see this as a lot of people in her life failed her, where a lot of this could have been prevented before it got to this point.
Or that could have been prevented.
You can say that this is victim blaming and stuff like that. Well, no, this is just accountability. This is a child, and a child needs to have some kind of guidance to keep people away from bad people. It doesn't matter how much money someone has, status, or anything like that. And, so, because this is a lot of new information that I feel like mainstream media isn't like talking about there being 2 different houses. So Celeste went to 2 different houses, and one of those houses, there was a case report about her where, was it?
I feel like her parents should definitely be prosecuted as well. Of course, they shouldn't get any harsh sentence as David, but parents need at least 3 to 5. Because y'all didn't do proper parenting, bro.
Was it a missing persons case report, or was it a different type of case report?
Yeah, it stemmed from a missing persons case. So West Hollywood had apparently been asked to do like a welfare check or look for Celeste when she was missing at this house, and so they had an open report about it. I don't have the exact details. I can't get it because they've shut me off from it. But what they did tell me was there's an open investigation. So I think that's one of the that's one of the ways they can say that she was murdered as a witness. But it doesn't even have to be that. It can be to her own case. But it all just shows just by the by the dates of like that email that was sent and stuff. This has been going on a very long time, and he wasn't worried. You know what I mean? Like he kept having her come back, and he wasn't worried about it. So I think there's a reason why we haven't seen a lot of statements. And like you said, it's about accountability, right? And I don't care if she was a handful. Maybe she was. And if parents get to the point where they don't know what to do anymore, they can't just let them be like, okay, just go live whatever life you want to live. He's rich. What could go wrong? That he's famous. That you can't, like, there's, as much as I hate the CPS system, there are systems in place, but I say you got to go. You can't just make a decision that they can. Well, she's 13. I guess she got this. You can't do that, right? And so there's got to be accountability. I understand that. I'm sure they're grieving. I'm sure they feel a tremendous amount of guilt, but this can also be a learning experience maybe for other parents that this could never be right. And it's never right for these predators to, like, because they seek these are the people they seek out. You know what I mean? Like David had his choice of a lot of different girls, and there's a reason he chose this underage one that probably had a lot of things going on in her life that she probably disclosed to David. She's a victim, and he just picked her off because it was easy to do.
Did Celeste have a father in her life, or was it just her mother?
Yeah, her father's still alive. I don't know to the extent that I don't know what type of relationship that was. I don't know what the relationship was between her and her mother even. I've heard different accounts, so I don't know. I don't think the family life was spectacular by any means, but she's the little kid that deserved, to be watched over and guided and helped and loved. And I'm not saying they didn't love her, but a year and a half she was gone before she was found deceased. Like, and she was 13 and 14. Like, can't wrap my head around how that.
When you say a year and a half, like that's because I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, a year and a half, like they had no was that year and a half really a year and a half of her missing, or was that just a year and a half of her just not sleeping at home?
Okay, so that's a very good point. And what we come to find out is it really wasn't a year and a half of her being truly missing, because she showed up at a couple of these events like her cousin's high school graduation. But, we know now that she most likely was killed on or very close to April 23rd. The time frame from April 23rd to September 8th, when she's found in the trunk, is a long period of time that you think people would have been like banging down David's door being like, hey, we have not heard from her, not even like a hello or anything. What's going on? How come she hasn't checked in? How come she hasn't sent a text to her brother or her sister or to her cousins and nothing? It's a long period of time, but I don't know. I don't know if anybody was banging down his door, when the news came out that a body had been found in his Tesla. I don't know why people weren't at the police station saying, my daughter knows that guy, and I haven't seen my daughter or heard from my daughter in a very long time.
I don't know how much you know, but did the parents go to the police station? Or did the police have to go to the parents?
TMZ actually. TMZ had somebody, guy online that kind of figured it out in the Discord, and then he started like threatening people. There's a weird sequence of events, but what it comes down to is he went to LAPD, and then he went to TMZ. And TMZ called the mom and was like, hey, does your daughter have this certain tattoo? Because the medical examiner had put out to the public that she had a tattoo that said shh, and then they kind of put together. But the thing is that that was news. Like this was big news in LA, right? This young girl, unidentified still, had been found in David, the singer's Tesla. They knew. They knew it was gonna be her. The Discord was talking about it.
And was this David's Discord or was it just random?
David's.
I guess to wind it down, is there any, two questions. Have there been evidence that you found that the police didn't have that has aided further into this investigation where it sent it into a different route? And also, is there a piece of evidence that you either have found yourself or about to where you can definitively say without a shadow of doubt that he was the one who murdered her?
And so to take your last question first, there's nothing like a video of something happening or even a body being taken out that I've seen, right? Of a totality of a lot of different evidence, I am certain that they have the right guy. I don't think they have all the guys or girls. I don't think that they have them all. But I think they have the main one, and I hope that there's going to be more. But I do think this is going to be a circumstantial-based case. I think this is going to not be based so much on the actual physical evidence they have as it is going to be on people rolling over on David, finally. To answer your first question, yeah, so there was some evidence. I don't know if LAPD, we kind of put their feet to the fire on it. We found a burn cage. David had purchased a burn cage, an incinerator, and it was at the house.
So that incinerator wasn't at the house before?
Well, we found it at the house, but I mean, why do you have an incinerator and a chainsaw? Like you don't need it at this house, and it comes with all the yard people and stuff like that. You don't do any of your own maintenance, right? But why do you have an incinerator and a chainsaw? There's evidence, that was left behind, like a SD card from a camera, photos of him and Celeste together, and so this is all stuff we passed on to. And listen, I've met with the DA's office. There's been grand juries. I think that those transcripts they said yesterday will be released soon, and So I think more of my statements will.
Actually, I'm so happy you brought up the grand jury. I don't know because I've obviously done grand juries. So I don't know how much you can reveal, but why didn't this get just regularly in? Like, because from what you're saying, I mean, from just online, you see this totality of evidence where it's obvious that there's enough evidence to say that a crime probably occurred and David was a part of it. So why wasn't he officially indicted by a grand jury?
I don't know. I don't listen. They came out saying that they were in lockstep with LAPD, and anybody saying anything different isn't correct. I don't think they were. They went to great lengths to keep all the evidence completely secretive. They got the medical examiner's reports sealed, and even the medical examiner even came out with a statement where they thought that was not right to do. They thought that her family deserved to have answers of what happened to their daughter. They didn't like doing it. There was grand jury. I've had to be somewhat quiet about that. Although as witnesses don't have to be, they're not kept to any secrecy. It's only the grand jurors themselves. And then I was threatened, with contempt. But I don't have a problem saying here because I know they're going to be unsealed. I did testify twice in front of the grand jury, and I don't know why they didn't indict. I don't think my personal thought is that LAPD probably was sick of the public giving them a hard. I wonder if part of it is that they were sick of being asked, is this a blown investigation? And they just said, we're gonna go ahead and arrest him, and if the DA can either pick up charges or not pick up charges. And maybe that's what it came down to. And if it did come down to that, then I commend my client for because they were like, we're gonna, you know what, this started as us needing answers, what happened in our house, but we're gonna turn it into making sure that Celeste gets justice, and nothing gets left behind, no evidence, and nothing's gonna get swept under the rug, and we're gonna hold the feet to the fire, and if they're not gonna charge them, then we're gonna go on this worldwide damn campaign, and we'll show the evidence ourselves if we have to, and we were starting to get more vocal, and I'm not saying that that's why this happened, but I think that there was a lot of people that were in that situation, like, listen, we've waited long enough, this one needs justice. It shouldn't take 7 months to figure out what happened to a girl that was found in the front of a Tesla that was registered to David, that was in a wealthy neighborhood with tons of cameras, and lots of people around all the time, and what's it taking so long? And finally, I think it hit a boiling point, and I don't think that this was planned, because the way they went, everything's going to be unsealed. Even they said yesterday the search warrants are all going to be unsealed. They probably are today. I'm going to go to the courthouse and see if any of them are unsealed yet as soon as we're done. And so I don't know. I think there was a disconnect between the DA's office and LAPD, and I think LAPD arrested them, and I'm glad they did. I don't think it should have taken this long, but
you shouldn't have to bully a prosecutor into doing their job.
Right. Right. I mean, listen, I understand investigations take time. That's what I do for a living. I get it. However, this is not like we found a skeletal a frame out in the middle of the desert and we have nothing to go from. This is, like I said, she was found in a car registered to David, and she was known to be in a relationship with David. That's a pretty big starting point, right? And this is a guy who self-admittedly grew up on the internet and documented everything. And we've said that from the beginning. We're like, I guarantee he documented everything. It's all, and then we find out they said yesterday in court that his iCloud account alone, just his iCloud account, they would need a 10 terabyte drive to copy just his iCloud account. That's none of the other stuff. So everything's in there, 10 terabytes. So shouldn't have taken this long. I'm glad that justice for Celeste is happening, and I truly do not think it would have happened if the public didn't stay engaged in this case and they weren't so vocal. I think that it very well could have gotten swept under the rug, but because everybody was like, we want to know what happened, and nobody forgot about it, which I think was easy to do during like the Nancy Guthrie case and some other cases where everybody got sidetracked, but people stayed on this case and were loud online and stuff, and that kept their feet to the fire at the DA's office and LAPD, and everybody's proud of themselves, because I think that the reason charges came are because of the public.
No, I think you should be proud of yourself too, man. Just a huge big up to the house owners, because they could have just tried to sweep this under the rug, so they weren't. Because they weren't involved in it either way. But the fact that they went above and beyond to get you on this, the links that you went through on this case. So guys, this is his Twitter right here. Make sure you guys go follow him, because on his Twitter he's gonna just be giving updates all the time. He's following this case. It's gonna be SF underscore investigates. 33 missing persons found since 2023. So huge shout out to you. And one last question. A big misconception is two things where they'll say, like, there's this other Celeste. Like, that's a lot of people like to throw out. Is there even another Celeste, or is that something that they like to throw out? And also, did Celeste have a tattoo of David on one of her fingers?
Yes, she did, and that finger's gone.
So
and
the tattoo with the tattoo was still on her body, but the
was still there, but the ring finger, the other finger on the other hand were gone, and that's the one that has the David, and also she had a ring from him, and no, there's a little bit more information on that. I can't give out yet, but if you're talking like another week or 10 days, I think I can give out some information on that. But that's gone. And what was the first part of the question?
And the other part was about the other Celeste. A lot of people like to use her as a scapegoat. Like, no, like the live stream. A lot of people are like, no, that's not her. That's the other Celeste. That's the of age Celeste.
So there is another Celeste that was not super close. She was really close with Asia, or who's one of the people that was like always around. So that was just a coincidence. There was another Celeste. It wasn't a decoy or anything like that. So yes, there was an adult Celeste. It's not, but that 100% is her in the live stream. And the delete everything. Live stream. That's her. That's Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the minor. And she, I think, is very calculated. One thing I've heard about what was happening at the end was she had lost all respect for David. She knew, she figured out, like, she'd now been isolated, taken away from her school, from her family. She was being isolated and just used as an object when it was convenient for him. And she lost respect for him. And when she came out and said, oh, like child rape on that, that was Celeste. Celeste was smart, and she knew. And that was her calling him out. I don't think that was by accident,
No, I mean, that I think would be a huge... Did she say her age in there? Because every time I hear it, it sounds like it's muted. I guess people did that. What was the exact words that she said on that live stream?
She said, well, the word she said, like child rape. She brought up child rape to him, and then he goes, whoa, and he talks about, oh, I media trained you, but she brings up child rape, and she says those exact words, and that's when everybody in the chat starts talking about like Epstein Island and stuff, and then he wants to get deleted, and it made it seem like kind of a joke. I mean, he actually called the mods after the end of that, and told them to delete that.
If you look at my stream, I'm gonna play it for everybody.
I personally don't.
I media trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of raping kids.
Raping kids, yeah. That's controversial, raping kids.
Yeah.
It's
Bye.
going by.
Bye, guys.
Mwah. Hold my. Delete everything. Delete everything. Everything goes.
And he called his mods right after that, and make sure that it got deleted.
Wow. You wouldn't need to delete that unless it was true. It's one thing someone saying something controversial on stream, and then it's like, all right, we're gonna end stream, but it's a whole other. Like, I'm in the stream first. When you say mods, delete that is something you don't want out. It's one thing just to end it, but it's another thing to say, hey, make sure no one. So it's a blessing that was actually clipped. Thank you for giving us clarification. And Mr. Steve, I would genuinely love to talk with you again. Genuinely, so like I said, let's just maybe give it a week, so we can see what more things come out in court, and so that way you can speak. Because I feel like you have a lot more that you want to say, but the most important thing is this case goes forward and nothing comes out that can get you in trouble or jeopardize the case, because we don't want to give this weasel David any wiggle room at all. And also, you were saying earlier that you don't think that the LAPD are going to be pressing charges with the minor that you're in contact with. Don't say where she is, but is she out of the state of California?
Yes. So, but she was. I mean, just recently. Oh, but this all happened, and she's willing.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. It's good that we got this information though, because mainstream media, they're not reporting these type of details, so that's good to know, man. He actually did get charged. I don't know what exact date Jidion and him did this interview, but David has been officially charged. Now has been the trial hasn't started yet, but it is going to be a speedy trial so far. It should be started the beginning of July. I'll give it the beginning of July. It should be here. Like I always say, do y'all think he's innocent, guilty? What y'all think about this interview? What did y'all learn? What do y'all now know? How do y'all feel? Do you still feel the same? Do you still feel he's innocent? Do you still feel he's guilty? I still feel he's guilty. That's just me though. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.
Shake, talk.